the Customs Excise Preventive Services has announced the suspension of internal border checks in the country. The measure, which is being implemented following the orders of the Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, will take effect from the 31st of July this year. The exercise, which is also being implemented in phases, will begin with the closure of checkpoints in the northern region. The Commissioner of the Customs Excise Preventive Service, Isaac Crensul, announced this at a joint meeting between the Ghana Immigration Service and SEPS in Accra to review cross-border crimes in Ghana.
His Excellency, the Vice President, issued that directives. Among the three directives, the Customs Division put a team together to ensure that we execute that directives. That 1st September, all internal barriers will be removed. We have done that, and we are going to do that on the parallel basis. We met the Trade and Industry Committee of Parliament, and we assure them that we are going to meet our stakeholders, which of course Ghana Immigration Service is one of them. We will extend the same thing to Ghana Police Service and other security agencies that are helping us in managing our border area. And what we are going to do come 31st July is to, as the first phase, 31st July is to remove all the internal checkpoints in the northern region. That first phase, 31st July, Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority is going to remove all the internal barriers starting from the northern region. Then 15th August, we will come down to the southern region to also remove some of the barriers, so that by 31st August, we have done the evaluation, then 1st September, we roll it out. Even though we are removing the barriers, doesn't mean that customs is going to sleep. Rather, with the help of the Ghana Immigration Service, we are now going to do a risk-based patrolling. Risk-based patrolling. So what it means is that we are not going to do a lot of patrol based on risk management techniques.
The suspension, according to the Commissioner, should not bring any serious mishap to the country's security, since they will be intensifying border patrols instead.
I want to talk about trade facilitation. It's nothing but removal of impediments in the way of traders. How to remove impediments or stumbling blocks and then ensure that there's a free flow of trade. And these are the things that the World Customs Organization, of course, the World Trade Organization are pushing. So the removal of the internal checks, even though it has become a directive from His Excellency the Vice President, it was something that Customs, in collaboration with the Ministry of Trade, were considering. The removal of the internal checks will not bring any serious mishap to the country, because there are about 4 main checkpoints that we are talking to government. We have the central corridor. When we talk about the central corridor, you are looking at it from Tema to Paga. And when we talk about Tema to Paga, we have ECOWAS mandated checkpoints. We have the Offensive checkpoint and then the Savrugu checkpoint. These are ECOWAS protocols that we should maintain. So we are even talking to government to ensure that these are international protocols that we should maintain. So not all the border areas or all the checkpoints that will go. Those that are of international convention, ECOWAS conventions, we will maintain. They also have the Lagos-Abidjan corridor, where you start from Dabala through to Agona Junction. We have in Mile 32, there's another international checkpoint there. All these 2 other checkpoints will also be maintained. Dabala checkpoint, and then the Mile 32 at the Agona Junction, the Western region, towards Abidjan. So that.
And the Controller General of the Ghana Immigration Service, Kwame Tsechi, says through their intervention and efforts, they have successfully rescued about 150 girls who were being trafficked into the Gulf states. He says the immigration is serious about clamping down on human trafficking in Ghana.
We've intercepted 150 girls ranging between the ages of 18 to 28 attempting to travel outside the country. Our officers and men are on the ground, even taking risks to protect our borders and making sure that these ladies are not sent out. Yesterday, I think 4 were even brought from Aflao. So that is what I can say for now in respect of the human trafficking situation in the country now. Ghanaians should take note and due notice about how our ladies are being sent outside of the country with false impression that it is good out there. And we've all heard about the unfortunate situations that our ladies go through in these Gulf regions. And it is for us as a press to write, to educate the general public.
All right, so talking about trafficking, let's stay with that subject a little while longer. While human trafficking is a serious crime and a grave violation of human rights, every year thousands of children, women and men fall into the hands of traffickers in their own countries and abroad. Almost every country in the world is also affected by trafficking, whether as a country of origin, transit or destination for victims. Human trafficking, again, is a hidden crime, as victims rarely come forward to seek help because of language barriers, sometimes fear of traffickers, sometimes fear of being killed or abused, etc. So there are lots of questions that are coming up. What at all is human trafficking, and what are we doing about it here in this country? In the studio with me is Victoria Nachu, who is Acting Executive Secretary of Human Trafficking Secretariat at the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. Ma'am, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
All right, so what's the updates? I mean, human trafficking is something that we've spoken about so many times. Yeah. It's, if you're not careful, it might sound to you as a cliche. What is the update? What is the latest government intervention on this problem that's on our hands?
Thank you very much. In terms of efforts to combat human trafficking, Ghana as a country joins the rest of the world in fighting trafficking. No one country can fight trafficking.
Okay.
And no one institution in Ghana can equally fight human trafficking.
Okay.
Because it is a diverse form of process. You just heard the Ghana Immigration Service talk about rescue of about 150 girls.
Yeah.
Young women. They were not small girls. They were young women from unapproved routes. It is also because Employment and Labor Relations Minister placed a ban on the travel in the Kotoka International Airport.
Travel of these young
women, yes, through the airport. Then the traffickers, who are sometimes a step ahead of us, found ways and means of getting the children out of the country through the unapproved route so they could get to either Togo or wherever to get on a plane and travel.
Okay.
Fortunately, as a country, we've given a lot of training to our security agencies who are able to identify potential victims of trafficking. So you are on a vehicle, you are an adult, but yet they could identify and pick you up as a victim of trafficking, and then you are rescued. We as a ministry and the police, anti-human trafficking unit, have equally done a lot of rescue of operations of late. We've rescued children on the Volta Lake. We have various types of trafficking. So your question is said that I'm missing
because I am interested in what we're doing. I mean, we know we may know about the various types of trafficking, but for many Ghanaians, they want to know what we're doing about it so that their relatives, their children will not find themselves in that position.
For now, it's all about rescue and prevention. We are doing a lot of sensitization all over the country, talking about the dangers of trafficking.
Okay.
And just last Tuesday, our minister launched the press day on fighting trafficking. That's the Blue Day, the UN Day against trafficking in persons. And that is how come I'm in this blue. Okay. We are creating awareness, letting people know that In fact, anybody at all can be trafficked.
Okay.
Anybody. It's not too much about vulnerability. The moment you give yourself up to a beautiful message that you are going to get so much dollars, you are going to do this, and if you don't become vigilant, asking questions, getting your contract documents right and whatever, you end up getting trafficked.
We know that there are legitimate organizations that are into this house help business and they take people away from Ghana to that place. How is it that you're able, what are the interventions? What are the policy interventions, if I should ask, that would help the country deal with that very thin line between a legitimate organization doing its job and trafficking?
What we have realized of late is the fact that we have the Labor Act that guides the process of migration.
Okay.
And we have registered recruitment agencies. Unfortunately, we also have unlicensed recruitment agencies without offices also operating.
And is it very difficult to track them down?
Yeah, sometimes it's very difficult.
Why so?
Very difficult because they do not have a regular office. They do not have a regular address. Their phone numbers change as and when they want to. And so, and I'm told they are in markets and wherever. So sometimes it's difficult to get them. But what we are doing as a country, and that is under the national security, the various implementing partners have come together to look at the loopholes in the Labor Act and to cover it. Because before you travel out of the country, Ghana is a free state. You must travel if you want to, but you must travel right. So what we have noticed is that people sometimes use the loopholes in the act to perpetrate this violence. And
to get these people to go out.
Yes. So we are preparing or looking at the various areas and now saying, before you travel, you must have a contract document that you are
for those who are going for the house help business.
That you are comfortable with, that you are ready to even walk out of the job if you want to. But then previously there was nothing like that. We are also saying Foreign Affairs will be looking at the institution in that country to be sure the various agencies that are looking for house helps, we identify them and know that they are of higher standards.
And also you know that your citizens are with these organizations.
Yeah, all these issues were not part of the
Labor Act. Okay.
But now what we are also looking at is the fact that we will need to get immigration service also have a proper system of identifying who are leaving the country and to accept and approve before people travel. What we used to know is recruitment agencies quickly get flight tickets before coming to look for approval. So before the approval comes, they're
already
airport.
And they're gone.
These are some of the loopholes we are looking at. And then maybe whether to get some other facilities to help in the other regions.
Finally, what is the target? Do you have a timeline? Does the ministry have a timeline within which you're working to ensure that you clamp down on trafficking? And what's the extent of reduction you're looking at?
Well, we would have loved trafficking to be eliminated totally. Unfortunately, it may not be possible, but we want to reduce it to the barest minimum. And government is committed.
Yes, we've heard that line.
Yes,
we've heard that line. We've heard that line.
So, but unfortunately,
we've heard that line so many times.
About figures.
Yes, but we've heard that line so many times that sometimes when you mention it, we don't even hear it.
Please do.
The government is committed. Yes, government is committed to so many things, including providing security for the police officers. But of course, they go out there without bulletproof. So that's an example. So as for the government committed line, we want to, as much as possible, reduce it to the barest minimum. Okay.
And that's how come we are putting in this various interventions. And it is the interventions that are bringing out the rescue operations. We've rescued several children on the Volta Lake and the rest. Ghana Immigration is picking people up on their border post. It is all because of the efforts we are putting in. And it is also about the prevention and sensitization I'm talking about. The best place to protect a human being or a child is the home.
Okay.
So we want the parents to understand the issues of trafficking.
Okay.
So we are all over the place talking about it, and that's why I'm here today.
And educating the young
Yes,
people.
that's
what is it that you tell them, these young people? They feel that they're hungry, they need a job, they need a place, they need something to rescue them out of perhaps their misery. What is it that you think you can tell them that will convince them not to give in to some of these offers?
Yes, previously we were doing just verbal discussions. This time we are going with videos and documentaries showing the dangers of what they go through. In fact, today I had a lady who I coaxed to come so we can, who has been there.
So that she can share her story with us.
And we have several of them.
Yes.
Just that sometimes they feel shy to come and talk. After we finish everything, she said, okay, madam, do you know what? Then she
decided not to come. We have done a story here. One of my colleagues, investigative journalist Kwete Nati, did an extensive story, and I've spoken to your minister.
Yes.
I've spoken to your minister on it as well. But one thing I'm curious about before I let you go is what happens to the people that you are rescuing. 150. You take me out of what I believe is a situation that would help me. How are you going to help me? What are you?
They've not even gotten there yet.
Yes, but they believe it will help them. They believe they will make money, which is why they're giving in and which is why they're going. What are you going to do to those that you've rescued? The 150 others that you've rescued, children from the Volta Lake, what is the end point for them?
Normally, we put them in shelters. Unfortunately, for adults, we do not have shelters, and that's the difficulty. So they are sent back home, but they will report back. Those who are not into any skills training, we give them skills training.
Okay.
That is the plan now. For children, their health is key first. Then we we counsel and make them stabilized. And then those of school-going age will go back to school. Those who are older than school-going age will have skills training. Okay. What unfortunately is not happening is the fact that when you put them into skills training, they know what is big money, dollar versus cedi. So they sometimes are not too keen on looking at how to make beats and whatever. They thought, but those who have gone there and come back realize that there is no place like home.
So right now, the best thing to do is to keep telling the stories, or to keep bringing in these people who have experienced it to tell their stories.
We have pictures of dangers of trafficking.
And hope that it will change their minds.
We have those who have suffered the pain. On social media, we have a lot of these videos running all over. But it's still unfortunately, they are seeing it, and surprisingly, they still want to go. And the moment they get there, and their passports are taken away from them, and their human right is taken totally away from them, then they start crying.
Okay, I'm going to give you this opportunity to speak to our audience as if you're speaking to any of these girls who may be watching and thinking that going to any of these places is the solution to all of the problems that they believe they face here in this country. How would you convince them not to give in? Okay.
I will urge, you see, I mentioned earlier that Ghana is a free state. We have the freedom to travel. But if you want to travel, it is okay to migrate, because that is not the problem. The problem is the irregular migration, that you go illegally. So if you want to travel, please get into Ghana Immigration Service. You have information. Go to the Ghana Police Service. You have information to pick from there. Go to the Labor Department. You'll be guided. Okay. And then you are guided to the proper ways of doing things. You get a contract. You are able to know what you are going to do. When you get there and you don't want it anymore, you can walk out of it. Okay. But don't let fraudulent recruitment, unlicensed recruitment agencies get you the sweet issues they talk about, and you are convinced only to get there. Your fundamental human rights are taken, your passport is taken, and for that matter, you can't even move anywhere.
And if you're not careful, you end up getting killed.
Yeah.
Because you probably keep, trying to escape, and then if people don't want you to escape, you're caught. And then thank you very much, ma'am, for passing through. I really wish you all the best, and hope that you'll be able to convince as many girls, the ministry will be able to convince as many girls not to give in to this deceit. Victoria Nachu is Acting Executive Secretary of the Human Trafficking Secretariat at the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. Passing.